Hey you guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Natasha. I am here to just give you guys a quick update on where I am with my perimenopause symptoms now. I'm doing this video because this video, the first video I did about this was about 2 years ago, and it has continued to be one of the most popular videos on my channel. Matter of fact, I got a comment and a question yesterday. I still get comments, I still get questions, I still get likes, and so I thought it would be good to come on here and try to encourage you guys and let you know where I am now, because I'm doing so much better. Now, because I didn't actually sit and watch that video again, I'm always pressed for time, which is why it's taken me so long to give you guys this update. I'm just gonna, but I can still remember the symptoms, the most life frustrating, I'll call it that, symptoms that, I really struggled to change. I can report on that. Okay, so for me, those symptoms would include the brain fog. I feel like the brain fog was the biggest symptom of all. Let me just talk about the brain fog. That thing where you're running up the stairs to do something, you get to the top of the stairs, you have no idea why you came up here, and it's just gone. It's just gone forever. Like, it wouldn't have been alarming to me if that happened, but then a little while later, if I could just pause, I could just recapture the thought, but it would just be gone forever. And I noticed that for me, when I moved to more of a low carb diet, and I moved to doing intermittent fasting and just giving my body a break, I noticed, and also reducing the sugar in my diet, I noticed that for the most part, the brain fog wasn't an issue for me anymore. Okay. And so I plan to do an update on intermittent fasting. So I'm not going to delve too deeply into that. But what I think has happened to me, like, I wouldn't call myself a hardcore, I'm on an intermittent fasting plan, and a hardcore, I'm on a low carb diet plan. But the principles have kind of become part of me. And I think that's where you want to be, where it's not a diet that you feel tied to and you want to always remember to stay on top of, and it feels like a burden, but it's sort of kind of adapts to who you are and how you live and kind of becomes part of you, so that you don't feel like you're doing anything out of the ordinary anymore. So that's basically where I am with those things. But I think for me, that really helped with the brain fog. And I think it also really helped with the insomnia. So insomnia is the second symptom that I was really struggling with. And one thing I noticed with the insomnia is it was closely tied to how late I was eating. Okay, because I feel like in this season of my life, my body tends to digest food a lot slower than it did before. And so if I would go and eat after 6 o'clock, dare I say, best case scenario, if I could eat before 5:30, you know what I'm saying? But if I eat any later than that, I notice that I'm still digesting and digesting and digesting and digesting, and I don't get the best sleep. I noticed this because, as you guys know, if you watch my channel, I have my 21-day fast series on my channel where I recorded my day-to-day experience when I was on a 21-day fast, and then released the videos after the fast was over. If you watch those videos, I share in that series how much better my sleep was, especially when I got to the part of the fast where I wasn't eating any food at all and I was just having water. I slept so well. Okay. And that's when I began to put two and two together, that, all the late night snacking, even though I didn't eat a lot, anything that my body has to break down and digest was affecting my sleep. That's one thing that was affecting my sleep. Another thing that was affecting my sleep is that I had to reduce the stimulation. I had to reduce the stimulation a good hour at least before I went to bed. So that included light. I went and I bought some of those amber lights, and I found that really helpful. I had to reduce noise. So I had to pay attention to like what I was watching right before I went to bed, because one of the most, what I thought was relaxing things to do is to get in the bed and watch a movie or watch some kind of drama series or something, actually was working against me having a good night's sleep. Okay. And I'm not going to say 100% of the time I never do those things. I'm not rigid like that. I do those things sometimes. And I feel like occasionally doing them doesn't have as much of an impact as every night that's what you do. Okay. So I made up my mind that I was going to develop a sleep routine where I could bring myself down. Bring myself down on the outside with all the stimulation, and also bring myself down on the inside. Okay, so good time to go through my facial, washing my face, brushing my teeth, taking a bath. You know what I'm saying? Burning candles or what do you call those, essential oils in a diffuser, all those type of things. Okay, sorry for the honking and stuff. I am in the Walmart parking lot, but hopefully you guys won't get won't get too distracted by that. But all those things kind of work for me to kind of help me get a better night's rest. Okay. And so the next thing that was really traumatic for me was the weight gain. And that kind of goes hand in hand with the brain fog. I think, did I talk about the weight gain already? About how, I think I did, with the intermittent fasting. But I think one thing I didn't mention before about the weight gain. Okay, so reducing my carbs and doing the intermittent fasting, with the intermittent fasting, I already came to the confidence that I'm not going to die if I don't throw food in my mouth all the time. I'm not going to die if every time I get a thought to eat something or a craving or to consume some kind of sugary beverage, I'm not going to die if I don't do that. Another thing that helps solidify all of that, is that I prayed and asked the Lord, because I was really concerned about, having the optimal diet for myself and the wisest, I'll put it that way. I was really concerned about having the wisest diet for myself. If I don't have to put myself through, a low carb situation, which can be difficult sometimes on the day to day when you're eating with other people. Okay. It's not always the most convenient thing. Okay. I prayed and I asked the Lord, what should I eat? The Lord has a sense of humor, because I asked him, what should I eat? Because I wanted him to tell me, yes, you should be on a low carb diet, or no, you should be a vegetarian, or no, you should be vegan, or no, I was expecting him to tell me something like that, but instead he told me as clear as day. I heard it inside, I heard it in my spirit, clear as day. I heard it inside of me. I heard him say, eat when you're hungry. And I just remember feeling like that's just so simple, and I already know that, and how is this gonna work? But then I made up my mind, since I knew it was the Lord, to try to walk it out. And you guys, I would say it's actually, I feel like it's ongoing. Okay, this is well over a year ago he told me this, and I feel like it's ongoing to actually walk it out. Because what I've learned is, when it comes to when you're trying to eat when you're hungry, that means there are so many times when you get a craving, or you get a thought, or you have an opportunity to eat, that when you actually take a moment to assess your body, you realize, I'm really not hungry right now. Or if I eat that right now, when the next meal comes that I'm planning to eat, which is going to be packed with nutrition for my body, I'm not going to be hungry enough to eat that meal. And I'm trying to eat when I'm hungry. So if I skip that, that's going to affect my next opportunity to eat, because I'm either going to be too hungry, I'm going to be hungry too soon, and it's going to be inconvenient for me to eat at that time. And it just goes on and on, right? So that's one way I realized that I was consuming more calories than necessary during the times when I wasn't on a strict intermittent schedule. Okay, intermittent fasting schedule. Okay, which I'm not on. I said I'm going to do an update on that. Okay. Another thing I noticed with that is that when you have the food on your plate, eating when you're hungry means while you're eating, when you stop being hungry, stop eating. Your body literally has a natural off button. Okay. And I noticed that when you go to a restaurant, they tend to give you way more food than you need to eat before you get to that point. Okay. Trouble with that for me is that I was raised and trained to clean my plate. And so I had to learn how not to put too much food on my plate, because if I put too much food on my plate, it was that much harder for me to stop eating when I was satisfied, because I just felt that pressure that I should be cleaning my plate and I'm wasting this food. Okay. Excuse me. And I'm wasting this food. Okay. So I had to learn how to put what I think would be a portion to make me satisfied, or even less than that, because it's so much easier to go and get more than it is. For me, it was so much easier for me to go and get more food until I'm satisfied, okay, than to have to leave my plate half full or however much full that I didn't feel was okay when I, overfilled my plate. Okay. So, but I have a caveat to that. So another thing I was struggling with is, what is satisfied? Okay. And for me, satisfied was when you have that stuff feeling. But I realized that, I'm satisfied long before I have that stuff feeling. Okay. And so that stuff feeling can be really comforting. If you go too far with it, it can be uncomfortable. You never want to go that far with it. But stuffed, when you didn't go way too far, it's kind of comforting. And I feel like that's a feeling that I was always chasing. And that was my expectation. That was the bar I set for when I needed to stop eating. But that was too high. I was consuming way more calories than my body needed, hence the weight gain. As I've gotten older, my metabolism isn't what it was. My physical activity doesn't demand that I eat these extra calories, and the result for me was weight gain. Okay. And so adjusting what it meant to be satisfied helped me. Okay. But I also, recognize the fact that there are certain times when it's okay to just be stuffed. And so special occasion, you're going out with friends, you're celebrating your birthday, it's Thanksgiving, you're celebrating your anniversary, you're on vacation. When things like that are happening, I basically, let myself do whatever I'm going to do, and I don't worry about it. But I feel like I've won that battle, because on the day-to-day, that's not my experience anymore. Okay. So the next symptom that I'll talk about, that I probably shared about in that video, is low libido. I really am not struggling with low libido anymore, you guys. I don't know if when all the other stuff balanced out, the low libido balanced out, but I haven't noticed the low libido as being a problem. What I have noticed is that our hectic lives and our hectic schedules, and not really being able to connect on an emotional level as a couple, affects my libido more. And if I work to balance those things out so that I feel more connected to my husband, we just are able to flow without any problem anymore. So I don't know if that helps. One person left a question about migraines. I never really experienced migraines, but I drink like a gallon of water a day. And I've seen in multiple places that a lot of times, migraines, people can experience migraines because they're not getting enough water. So I don't know if that'll help, but I can't really speak to that because I'm not really, I didn't really suffer from migraines. Anxiety. for me, this is one of the big ones. I think in that video I described getting anxious about stuff that I was never anxious about before, like walking into, BJ's, which is like your Costco if you don't have a BJ's, and just being overwhelmed by just going through the shopping process, or sitting down a meal plan and just being overwhelmed when I've done these things, my whole adult life without a problem. And so I knew it was kind of connected to the hormonal fluctuations in my body. One thing that's really helped me with that, you guys, is really just taking a moment to be aware of my thoughts. I noticed that my moods are closely connected to thoughts I agree with, thoughts that I bring to the forefront, voice, acknowledge, and hold to be true. And a lot of times that happens because I'm not even aware that I'm having the thought until I've agreed with it and it's gone too far. And I just came to realize that I just have to be a lot more aware of my thoughts. And so I watch for thoughts that are not actually true. I think I posted one video where I shared an experience how, like first thing in the morning, I went to Walmart and I was walking through Walmart, and all of a sudden, I started feeling kind of sad, and there was no reason for me to feel sad. Nothing was going on in my life to make me sad. And I remember having the thought, oh, it's the weather. Now that the weather's like this, you struggle with the cloudy weather and the cold weather. And so here it is. We're going to be dealing, that's why you're sad. And I remember thinking, wait a minute, I have no reason to be sad. I don't have to submit myself to you being sad because the day is cloudy. The weather is not going to control my emotions. And I remember I said out loud, I am not sad. I am full of joy. Joy is one of the joy comes with the package deal when I'm tied up and yoked up with Jesus. I'm not sad. And I remember, I didn't even make it through the teen section of clothing, the no boundaries section at Walmart of clothing, before that feeling, that heavy feeling lifted off of me. So I think it's really important to be aware of your thoughts and to challenge your thoughts, especially the thoughts that are not actually true. Another thought that I notice comes to me a lot is I'm tired. I could wake up first thing in the morning fully energized and I have the thought I'm tired. And one time I had the thought I'm tired, and I was about to say it out loud, and I realized what that thought was, and I said, wait a minute, I just had a full night's rest. I actually feel great. Like, really assessing my body, I feel great right now. And I said out loud, I'm not tired. I am not tired. Immediately that feeling went away from me. Okay, so I've just learned through scripture that God made us this way, and we have authority over our bodies, and our thoughts matter, and we should make sure we reject the ones that just aren't true. Another thing I've been trying to cultivate is an attitude of gratitude, being focused and aware of the things that are going well for me and how grateful I am for those things. And when your mind is focused in that direction, you don't have time to worry, okay? And with the anxiety, I try to get my thoughts out of my mind. I write things down a lot more, just to get them out of my mind, because sometimes I just feel overwhelmed because so much is going on in my mind. And for some reason, when I can write it down, my daughter likes to do voice recordings of herself or in video journals of herself. Feel like getting it out helps it to feel like it's not crowding me. Okay. And another thing I do also with the anxiety is that I simplify. Back in the day, I might have been having the energy and the availability to try to make everything from scratch, but now I tell myself it's okay if it's not perfect. Do what you can do now, and what you can do now is okay. I simplify everything. What's called for is a meal. What's not called for is that every aspect of that meal has to be done from scratch by you. And so by just taking myself off the hook, I've noticed that that's greatly reduced a lot of my anxiety. Okay. So let me think. I think the last thing I'll talk about is the heavy bleeding. I'm still dealing with the heavy bleeding. I still get my period every single day. But you know what? Actually, not every single day, every single month. And I think I shared that opening the video. But, but I will say the heavy bleeding, I still get heavy bleeding, but the heavy bleeding is better. I think when I did that video 2 years ago, I was experiencing heavy bleeding for like 4 days during my cycle. And now my cycle can still span 9 days, but most of it is spotting. I only have heavy bleeding for 2 days. So I don't know. I didn't do anything different from that for that. Still, speaking to my body and believing God for that not to be a thing. And I've also noticed that some months my period is lighter than other months. But with the bleeding, I've noticed that I could also get my period twice in a month. Not a fan. So I'm still commiserating on that with you guys. But, I think the number one thing that has helped me is to change my perspective about what's happening with my body. I am not sick. I'm just transitioning from my reproductive season to a season where my body is moving on to bigger and brighter things. So not having that dark cloud over yourself like something's wrong with you and you're sick and you need to get better and you need somebody to help you. You know what I'm saying? I'm not sick. I'm just transitioning and my body knows what to do. This is a natural process. All these things have worked to kind of help me to feel